Good morning. It is 2 minutes before 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, December 5th, 2019 AD. Welcome to Uncle Benny's Creepy Campfire Stories. I'm your host, Uncle Benny. It's been, we'll say, a month or so since I've done a video. Seems like the last one, the sound didn't come out or something. Maybe it did. I know I had a problem recently. And I can't tell you, it's like, I guess I can liken it to you writing a long email or something and then somehow your computer shuts down or you lose your work, whether it's a report or a letter or an email or something. And wow, it's terrible. But things look good today. However, since I haven't used this in a while, and I was aware there were some updates and changes coming to the Creator Studio and YouTube, it is ridiculous, and they've also done some other things. We're going to talk about it. Actually, I thought, well, this is worth even talking about. So I don't know if this is working or not, but we'll see. I'm not going to get worked up about it. In fact, I'm not going to get worked up about much of anything anymore. I'm really trying to be anxious for nothing. Be anxious for nothing. And the point of this video as well, and the Drudge Report in general, is not to just add into the fuel on the fire of, oh, the world's burning and going to hell in a handbasket, which it is. But we're to focus on the things that are good, lovely. We're to stay in peace. In fact, Bible say that he who keeps his mind stayed on God, he will keep him in perfect peace. That's not an exact quote, but something like that. He whose mind is stayed upon the Lord, he will keep him in perfect peace. Now I know that, just like I know we're told by the Master to be anxious for nothing. But there's a difference between head knowledge and heart knowledge and living something out and believing, really believing. That's maybe what I'm trying to, that's a better way to say it. There's a big difference between knowing something and really believing something. Emphasis on really, yeah. So got a couple interesting things to talk about. At least they are to me. The title was the main focus of this, The Art of Misdirection. I just want to show you one of the grand overtures of the Art of Misdirection, what they've been doing here, and it's only part of it, but it's a great illustration. If you're not aware this is always going on, now right there it can create a state of panic. It's like there's so many things we don't know that we don't know. I'm there right now every day, and I've been there about these kind of things at one point, and what can you do about it? So many of these things have been going on even since before I stomped on the terra and before you were born, because for example, they instituted the Federal Reserve back in 1913 and basically began the process of enslaving Americans, and they have, and that happened many decades before I was even in the sunshine. Okay, so what do you do about it? Well, do you take up your sword and fight, or do you I don't know the answer. I think that it's up to each individual and their calling and their path. There is such thing as finding the hill you want to die on, because you don't want to die in vain. You don't want to be chasing windmills. And you also have to recognize, and this is where understanding Bible prophecy, well, the only true prophecy, just prophecy, say Bible prophecy, but it is the only true prophecy, is that of the Scriptures, that of the inspired Word of God, of what's to come and what's going on. Where are we in time since the Son of God came to earth, fulfilling prophecy, thousands of years of prophecy, and He's promised to come again. And He also told us the signs of His return, which we're living in. And one of the focuses of doing the Sludge Report is to just take a look at this news aggregate and see, wow, it's happening. It's happening. Matthew 24, take heed that no man deceive you. Deception is all around us, and they're deceiving us one way by the art of misdirection, meaning they look to the right and steer to the left. They look to the left and steer to the right. So what are you talking about, Uncle Benny? Well, just to give you a, we'll get into it in a second, because I want to read something from Bible here. But this has just been impeachment, right? This has just been going and going and going, like the Energizer Bunny, right? It just doesn't quit. And I'm driving down the road. I listen to NPR radio occasionally just to see what they're babbling on about, national propaganda radio. Words are extremely powerful. I hope when you hear NPR, you think national propaganda radio, because it is. Now, there are programs on there that are completely neutral, like Car Talk. I haven't listened to it quite a bit in a while, or listened to it very much in quite a while. And but I know there's other things on there, but again, that's all to sort of balance it out, right? Anyway, let's move on here. So you've got the impeachment going on and on and on. But what just happened in November? They extended the Patriot Act for 3 months. Now, the premise here is the Patriot Act is bad. It's very bad. The premise, again, where I'm coming from, the premise is that 9/11, the events known as 9/11 by the date, was an inside operation, an inside job perpetrated by elements within the halls of power in our own nation, along with others. I mean, they're all actually in a different tier of power, and they're related. They work together, but they've infiltrated. They've usurped our government. And again, going back before I've had my first breath, but these things many things have come to fruition. And so 9/11 was an inside job, and I think it's John Yoo was one of the authors. He's still out there on the circuit, an attorney. They came up with the Patriot Act like within weeks of 9/11. This huge, all-encompassing bill. Excuse me. I'm sorry. I got to quit reading while I'm talking. The Patriot Act basically stripped Americans of many of their rights and many of their protections. And it keeps getting extended. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, right? So this has never been like, oh, this is going to be the law of the land forever. Well, neither was the income tax supposed to be. It's supposed to be a temporary thing, help with war efforts and this and that. Well, guess what? There existed a United States of America before they had the Federal Reserve, before they had the income tax. Do you know that most Americans have to work until May, I believe it is, before the money that they're earning every day is theirs? That's, about a third of the year is you're slaving to pay the interest on a debt, borrowing and spending that you don't really authorize. People who do not truly represent you fund things, projects, do things for their own reasons, their own self-aggrandizement, advancement, political ambitions, power, who knows, all kinds of motivations, It's a soup. And they've turned Americans into slaves. And they print the money, and the money's borrowed, and there's interest. So people who think that they're proud to be, I'm a tax-paying American, I'm a taxpayer. Really? That's fine that you're trying to stick within the law and be the laws and be, compliant on one hand. On the other hand, you're proud of it? I don't know you, okay? Not as an American. Proud of it? Proud to be a slave. Now, if that doesn't take the cake, man, if that isn't struggling for a analogy, it's just flabbergasting. Wake up and smell the coffee. Americans have been turned into slaves, and now it's a byword. I wonder who injected that into the dialogue of, you know, there's a guy on YouTube, I watch him sometimes, but he talks about Sasquatch, Bigfoot, you know, and he's kind of a macho man guy, and so he's a big kind of a bootlicker, yes man, to, you know, not bowing down and worshiping military people, and he basically puts people in categories. So and he's trying to make it so people aren't ashamed, or they shouldn't be ridiculed for talking, or be made to feel crazy for talking about their experiences seeing this creature in the woods called Bigfoot or Sasquatch, and they shouldn't be, right? But what I'm getting at is he always likes to say hardworking, tax-paying people, good, honest, hardworking, tax-paying people. Why is that a virtue? Why is that a virtue? That you are writing off a check from your labor for almost a third of the year, a third of your life, basically. You're paying interest on somebody else's loan. And sadly, most people, in my experience, seem to think, well, that's how you have roads and schools and you know, that goes to pay for the military. And well, sure, it does do some of that, but that's not where the majority, the bulk of your hard-earned, and it is hard-earned, it's harder and harder earned money it goes to pay interest on a debt that you probably wouldn't agree with them borrowing. The United States now is some $20+ trillion in debt, and whenever they run out, they raise the ceiling, they call it, raise the debt ceiling. That's similar to you calling up your credit card company and saying, you know what, I know I'm maxed out, but would you mind giving me another $5,000 or $10,000 credit limit? Okay, sure. And then charge away. And then you're having somebody else pay for it. You know, pay the interest on that. Anyway, so I didn't mean to get into this about taxation and things like that. And nevertheless, this had to do with powers that shouldn't be coming in to existence way before we were probably alive. Anyway, the Patriot Act, while they're going on and on about impeachment, they extended it in November. Did you hear about that? Was it in the news? Was it on your local news? If it was, please just tell me. Yeah, Uncle Benny, I saw it. They talked about it in very scathing terms. Well, I would encourage you, and I've not done it myself, but I think I'm going to try to find time to read this Wikipedia article. Now, Wikipedia is not the source of all truth and knowledge, but it can kind of give you a good sketch of things. Got to be careful. But learn about the USA Patriot Act. Remember that Wikipedia is not, they're not here for your freedom. They're not here for your education exactly. In fact, it is a way that people are being conditioned to rely on for truth, that like to get knowledge. It's not the Encyclopedia Britannica, and I don't know, maybe that was the same way, as I'm sort of suggesting that Wikipedia is that this can be edited by people, and let me tell you a little story. So a devil and his friend are walking down the street, and they're walking behind an old man. The old man suddenly stops, and he leans down, he picks something up and puts it in his pocket. And the devil's friend said to him, "Did you see what he put in his pocket?" And the devil said, "Yeah, he picked up a piece of truth." And the devil's friend said, "Well, that's not good. That's bad for your business, isn't it?" The devil said, "Oh, no. I'm going to help him organize it." There you go. See? So put that in your pipe and smoke it. And all right, here we go. Patriot Act is generated a great deal of controversy since its enactment. I would argue not enough. Not enough. Why? Not enough? Well, you certainly don't hear about it because the media, which is the fifth column of government, of powers that shouldn't be, controls the conversation of this nation. Think about it in those terms, brothers and sisters. So I guess I kind of launched into this without going to that passage I wanted to read. But so you can read this, Wikipedia. Reauthorizations. That's what just happened. 3 months. Well, 3 months. Do you think in 3 months that's going to expire and be done with? And they're gonna, they've built a lot of infrastructure around the U.S. Patriot Act. Think about it. The Homeland Security, all the stuff you go through at the airport, all kinds of things. I would say that this is has terrorized Americans. It keeps them traumatized and shocked. It's just, I want to keep this short. I always say that. I find it difficult to do these videos because I want to do them well, and I want to put the documentation links and all that, but sometimes it just, I don't want to get worked up about it. It takes a bunch of time, and I feel when I'm doing this, I don't want to, if I went back and listened to it again, I think, I should have talked about that or should have gone into that, but I really need to keep trucking here. There's a lot of infrastructure around this, and here we go. So what I'm saying is, in 3 months, what would it cost them to roll it all back? What if it just went away? Well, it's not going away. It gets modified here and there, but it doesn't mean it's being made better either. Remember that. November 2019, just within days from today, the House approved a 3-month extension of the Patriot Act, which would have expired December 15, 2019. Democratic leadership included it as a bigger, quote-unquote, must-pass spending bill, which approved by a vote 231 to 192, mostly along party lines, with Democrats voting in favor and Republicans voting against. Only 10 Dems voted against it. Representative Justin Amash, I don't know how to say his name. Let's see, there he is. Independent, submitted an amendment to remove the Patriot Act provisions, but it was defeated by the Democratically controlled Rules Committee. So I haven't studied this in depth or anything because, who's got time for that? Who has got time? That's another part of the mind control. There are so many fires burning. You can't keep track of it all. You can't keep up with it all. Do you think that's on purpose? I do. Now you might say, well, who are these people sitting around in hooded robes in a dungeon that are, cooking up these elaborate, faceted schemes? Well, I'll tell you who. It's people who are controlled by the spirit of the age, who are controlled by that ancient one, that ancient spirit. I don't mean the Ancient of Days. I mean Satan. Okay? Satan is a spirit. He's not omniscient. He's not omnipresent. He's not any of those things, but he's an incredibly powerful being with a third of the fallen angels that help him. I don't know how many angels there are or were. Do you? I don't. I don't know how many angels the Lord made. Well, let's see. So far we've got, I don't know, what do they say, 7 billion people on the earth? I don't know how they're counting them all, but we've got like 7 billion people on the earth at this point in time. Think back through time since the beginning of recorded history that we know about. How many people have lived? Okay, so it's gotten exponentially, it's grown exponentially. I don't know. Let's say there's 10 billion people that's ever lived, right? And Bible say man is made a little lower than the angels. Well, that's lower in stature and power and maybe things like that. But what if it also meant a little lower in number? Meaning, it's all like fractal, like, lower in stature, lower in power. But maybe there are as many angels as there are people or more. And think about that. Do we each have guardian angels? Do you have a guardian angel? Do I have a guardian angel? I believe I do. I hope to God I do. I don't think about it. I forget about it. But there's many a time. There's some very interesting videos on YouTube of people sort of being rescued or moved out of the way, and there's a figure there that looks like some kind of a ghostly presence. I don't have one pulled up. I wasn't planning to talk about this, but there are some interesting captures of miraculous things happening right in front of your eyes on tape that you would have to say, wow. There's even one where seems like a guy runs out and pulls this child out of traffic, and he's in the frame, and then he disappears. Very interesting. Very interesting. Anyway, moving on. Let me get back to what I really wanted to, back to the format I wanted to go for. So this is from Ecclesiastes, okay, first chapter. Hopefully I remember what I wanted to read it for. So the words of the preacher, son of David, king in Jerusalem. Vanity of vanities, says the preacher. Vanity of vanities. All is vanity. Let's think about that. Every day we're bombarded with the news. I hear it all the time too. I have to guard myself from distraction. That's another one. There we go. There's one for the mind control book I may write someday. The art of distraction. Being distracted. Broken focus, right? To vanity. Brought to vanity. It's always curious stories. That's one thing I've talked about in the Sludge report. It's like a tabloid. There's just so many things. Let me give you one here. Let's see here. There's a guy that, well, it updates all the time. So, all right, like here's one. Woman on oxygen killed while smoking a cigarette. Well, that's terrible. If you've ever been in a hospital and seen someone on oxygen, or anywhere around there's oxygen, they say no fire, no flame. There's a little red, warning thing. Oxygen is flammable. And anyway, this is terrible. And I would be easily like, oh, that's interesting. I want to see what that is about. I might spend 10, 15 minutes looking at this article or something, reading it, watching a video news clip. Who knows? But it's distraction. That's a lot of precious time that has little value. Number one, I already know oxygen ignites. And this woman's on oxygen, probably with emphysema. Sometimes I want to challenge you to do this. Take a headline and write the story before you ever read it. You can figure it out. She probably has emphysema. She's on oxygen. She goes ahead and smokes, completely oblivious to the fact she might blow herself up or blow up an oxygen tank or something like that, possibly killing other people. And I don't need to read this, but here it is for your entertainment, because it's just like tabloids, one of those curious stories. Now, is there anything wrong with curious stories and kind of understanding the world around us and getting a picture? No, but do we feed on it? Do we spend time every single day looking at things like this? I say yes, we're challenged to every single day, and that ain't right, man. So where do we see it? Everywhere. TV, radio, standing in line at your Walmart or your grocery store or your CVS or Walgreens or wherever you are, and you see the headlines on the magazines. Everything from Cosmo to Vogue to the National Enquirer, even the Dollar General. That's one where I see the National Enquirer a lot. I'm standing at, I pick up something at the dollar store, and they've got the tabloids right there. Well, they're all around here, Anyway, moving on. What profit has a man of all his labor which he takes under the sun? Well, I'll tell you this. You have 1/3 less profit as an American than you did back in this day. Okay? You have 1/3 less. You don't have all your profit of your labor. Now that's vanity, isn't it? All that labor going to serve other people's interests that you maybe would vehemently disapprove of. You or I would vehemently disapprove of. So why do we do it? Well, from fear of going to jail, from fear of maybe some people just don't go against, they just do what is always done. They just do what they're told. But some people who are aware do, because they're afraid of going to jail and things like that. And maybe rightly so. Again, is that a hill any of us want to die on? Well, it's very difficult to sort all that out and how to protest that and not be... A lot of people have. A lot of people try. They say, oh, well, we don't have to do this or pay that. And they may be well-meaning, but somewhere along the line they get tripped up, because this snake the serpent is cunning, okay, and makes a lot of convoluted things that can trip people up. So, if you're not yourself a versed in the law, then you're kind of winging it, and that's a dangerous game to play with people who are experts at it. So anyway, one generation passes away and another generation comes, but the earth abides forever. Abideth, it says. The sun also rises and the sun goes down and hastens to the place where he arose. The wind goes to the south and turns about to the north. It whirls about continually, and the wind returns again according to his circuits. All the rivers run into the sea, yet the sea is not full. Unto the place where rivers come, there they return again. Now, I want to frame global warming, climate change. I think they're calling it something else now, global meltdown. They're trying to change the language. I saw that the other day. Why? Because words are powerful. I say, you and I need to change our language. Change the language that they're giving us all the time. For example, don't call children kids. I'm going to get to that in a minute because that came up today. But think about this. Bible say the sun rises and goes down. The wind blows. The rivers flow. Yet the sea is not full. Well, these alarmists, these people who want to institute tax and control and regulation and all these things because they want to say, well, we've got 12 years, the earth's going to go away. The seas are rising. They're going to overflow. The sea is full, they're saying. The sea is full. Well, guess what? The sea is not full. And all the rivers run into the sea. So the Bible say, and the earth will not pass away. The earth is not going to pass away. The earth abides forever. But they're telling you the earth is going to be barren and destroyed in very short time, very short order. If we don't act now, if we don't put more taxes on you or your business, there's different ways to tax people. You tax businesses and corporations and heavy regulations and things like that. Who do you think pays for it? They pass it down in the consumer cost. So you're taxed. We're taxed. I should include myself in all that. So we are taxed. I try to avoid generalizations in general, but yeah, it's always early when I start this. So okay, remember, live and unscripted. So got more UFO stuff. I just happened to see when I was playing the bumper music. By the way, hope you like that bumper music. It's by an artist named Voyager, and that's a brand new one. Brand new one he made. I think it's pretty interesting. It's called, well, it doesn't matter. So let's see here. U.S. Navy vet who served on U.S. Nimitz recalls seeing 2-mile wide UFO over base. Wow, think about that. 2-mile wide. Now, when you read this, you might go, no way. I don't. It's like, yeah, maybe you did. But again, it comes down to UFOs are real. That's the premise that I've come to believe in. Not believe in, I know it. UFOs are real. If you don't know that yet, spend an afternoon or an evening just digging into UFOs on YouTube and you will see UFOs. And once you've seen UFOs, then you realize they're not all fake. They just cannot be. They are real. The question becomes, what are they? Are they from the another planet? Well, that's what part of the deception, in my opinion, is that I believe it's fallen angels. It's part of the end time deception. But anyway, there you go. You've got your UFOs again. It was a month or so ago I'm talking about this. There's always stuff about aliens, always stuff about sex robots and things. Let's see, is there any of that today? Let's just put sex in here. See what they say. Sex. Here we go. Oh, Indian faints during whipping for Sharia banned sex. Okay, it's not what I was thinking. Let me go for AI. AI. Too many of them to look through. Let me go AI period. No matches. Robots. No matches. Okay, hey, we've got a sex robot free day. How about that? I know I saw it just yesterday or the day before. You know what? I'm going to prove it to you. Recent headline archives. Let's go to archives. All right, this is how Uncle Benny, you make long videos. Let's see. Excuse me. So today's the 5th, right? Let's go the 4th. 4th, Wednesday, say, okay, it starts out, this is the morning, so let's go 8:40 a.m. Maybe the day before that. Look at this stuff, man. Lesbian couple first to carry baby in both of their wombs. Drag queen economy. I remember the picture here was just hideous of this drag queen. Let's see. Okay, I know it was on the left-hand side, so maybe it happened later in the day. I'll just go back one more day, 4th and then 3rd, and check it. Well, maybe we'll go to Monday. Let's just go. It's curious. The time seems reversed. About 9:21 in the morning. It's just boring. This video is probably boring already. Thing is, I could go find the right one and miss it. Robots. We'll go back to Monday. Robots and sex. There you go. Oh, here's Monday. Okay. Okay. I probably shouldn't have gone down this little side rail. Now I wish I hadn't. Just take my word for it. And you know from, here we go. Human's mistake. There you go. Here's one. I don't know if this is probably not even the one. No, this is the one I thought. Yeah, here I just found it. So this was just the other day, right? Humans mistake sex robots for real people. An AI world first. So I don't know. I would not have a problem mistaking that for not a real woman. Or that one. Look at that. Look at the waist and the hips and stuff like that. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And they're saying it's completely indistinguishable. Well, I would argue this is kind of an advertising piece, isn't it? There you go. All right, let's go back. So, anyway, back to Patriot Act. Remember, here we've got the impeachment shift show, is what it's called, you know, which is a play on shit show, right? Probably didn't need to spell that out for you, but let's be real. Notice these two columns here. That's the Masonic symbolism, okay? These two columns. Don't forget that. Right in front of your face. What does that mean? Just take that as a little cookie crumb. Look into it if you're interested. The point is that our nation, your lives and my life, are being manipulated and ruled in a design of social engineering in architecture. Masons, right? The grand architect is who they claim to worship. Against your will. And why is it against your will? If it was not going to be against your will, then it wouldn't have to be deceptive. Makes sense, right? Patriot Act, okay? 3-month extension. Now, here's something that's interesting. If you put in, and this is very interesting. If you put in 3-month extension, which just happened, I just showed you it happened. Patriot Act. Very simple search terms, okay? This is page 2 of about 7 million results, right? But why is that important? Well, let me back up. Previous page. Remember, you've got the shift show going on with the impeachment thing. If you Google 3-month extension, Patriot Act. Okay, this might be recent. Let's see. I don't know what WBFO is. When was this put out? There's no date. I'm going to assume this is recent. Excuse me. There's no date. So, there's one. It's up here. Great. So there's one. No date on it. Very odd. Notice how most of these have a date. Patriot Act. There's a Wikipedia article. Why did the Democrats just extend the Patriot Act? Now, wait a minute. This page 1. Yeah. All right. There's one article. The New Republic. Have you ever heard of it? I had not. By the way, when I Googled this before, that was not at the top. So I don't know if that changed now because I looked at it. I don't know if that works like that. Now that I think about it, I've never noticed. Now that's at the top because see, it's purple and not blue. It means I'd already clicked on it, but I did not find it at the top. I know I did not. I found it on the second page. So here you go. So let's just for a second pretend that's not there, okay? Because I'm sure that it was not. But you've got this is 2009. See? 2011. 2011. House likely to, okay. Yesterday, I don't know, is this? See, they've done a lot of other 3-month extensions. But what happens in 3 months? So they extend it again, or they come up with the language to make it a longer term deal. And when that happens, 3 months, when it extends again, just look at the news and what else is going on. There's something going to be going on in 3 months. Let's put it that way. Some other debacle. February 17, 2011. May 23rd, 2015. February 14th, 2011. Either way, whether these were there or not, these articles regarding this extension, on page 1, less than 20% of them are about, let's see, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, getting into detail, 7, 8, 9, 10, yeah, about 20%. There's only 2 things that I can see, maybe 3, that are on it and happening. So let's see if this San Francisco Examiner is this. Nope, 2011. Okay, so there's only 2 articles on the first page of Google that are about what just happened. Now, I would say to you that the further and further, like the more recent the extension, the more egregious it is. It's like this is, just going on and on into oblivion, isn't it? So let's go to page 2. Okay, here is one, November 20th. But you got 2005, 2005, 2011, 2010, 2011. Here's one down here, 2019. Here's one, Patriot Act extension concealed and funding bill. Now, why would they conceal it? Right? It's pretty good language. Concealed. I don't know what wws.org is. Okay, here we go. Another one. So not very many. It contains extension. You would think if this was, the point being, I don't know if this is a Google algorithm that's doing this or the very fact that it just has not been picked up very many places. Either way, this is if you Google impeachment, let's do that. Let's try that. Let's go Trump impeachment. There's going to be nothing that's probably prior to the last month or so. 20 minutes ago, 2 hours ago. See what I'm seeing here? Look. 2 hours ago, 3 hours ago. I'm just going to read it. I'm not going to highlight them all. 13 minutes ago, 1 hour ago. The latest, 2 hours ago. November 26th. There's one from a couple days back. And a couple that don't have any dates. Go to page 2. Okay, those don't have dates. Here's one from September 24th. Excuse me, November 25th, November 22nd. 13 hours ago, November 26th. You get the idea, though. This overshadows this, which is a big, I don't like to use this term because you hear it, but nothing burger, kind of like the whole Russian collusion thing. It probably is going nowhere, I would think. I haven't really followed it in detail, It just, haven't you had enough? It's like gag me with the spoon, So let's move on. Schumer pushes for 3-month extension, of course. Senate okays 3-month extension. This is 2011. Let's see here. Why did the Democrats just extend it? I think this is, November 20th. So this article, why wouldn't they? And what does it have to do with them being Republican or Democrat? Very little. If you don't believe that. And I'm really still surprised how many people are still caught up in us versus them, Democrats versus Republicans. Wow. To me, it's just astonishing. I'm friends with a lot of people on Facebook, people I don't, know personally, and I see this us versus them stuff a lot, and you could talk to them or show them something, but they go right back to it. They only have one way of thinking about it. It's their fault. It's those people's fault. It's the Democrats, or it's the Republicans got us in this mess. It's the Democrats that got us in this mess, this and that. It's like, don't you understand yet? When will they ever learn? I don't know what it takes. I don't know how I came to wake up, other than I have the promise from, Bible say he will guide you into all truth. He will open your eyes. He'll open your eyes to things. So pray for wisdom. Wisdom is seeing things through God's perspective, through the Creator's perspective, seeing things as they really are. Okay, let's move on. So Hillary Clinton drops biggest hint that she's mulling a 2020 presidential run. Well, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't. The Lord does. I don't know what's going to happen, but it's curious that she's out there sort of doing an end run around the whole Democratic primary thing. I don't know what this is, in my opinion, okay, my experience really, this is all planned out. The whole Democratic primary is a calibration of the American people. You've got the blatantly homosexual mayor, I'm talking kissing a man in public guy, who's got all these impeccable credentials. He's got, he was a war veteran, a Rhodes Scholar, and all these kinds of things. And then you've got the communist Bernie Sanders. Then you've got progressive people like Warren and Kamala Harris, and all these kinds of things that are pushing the limits and creating extremes. That when this woman, who also she is a globalist, okay, what does that mean? Well, I'm not afraid to say it. It's the Kabbalistic, Jewish, Zionist, Talmudic Ziocrats, let's say, that are running our government, who have designs to rule the entire world. And she's part of it. She's part of that agenda, in my opinion. So is her husband. Very much tools. I think that she is very easily controlled because she has her own delusions and ambitions. I believe there's something seriously, not just spiritually wrong with this woman, but psychologically as well. But here she is on Howard Stern's show, right? And trying to present herself very relatable. Why is she on the Howard Stern show? Well, he has an extremely big audience, mind you, okay? And not just liberals, but if you read this article, even Stern says if she had come on the show, she probably would have won. Other people have said that too, because he had Donald and he believed he helped him, and I'm sure it's true. All this helps. It's all about controlling people's minds, controlling their feelings, manipulating their emotions, and she even had a coughing fit. I didn't watch. I haven't. Maybe this interview is not even public yet. I've just seen little snippets. I've seen 2 snippets of it. So it got my attention yesterday when she had one of her coughing fits. And that's kind of funny. I coughed at the same time. She had a coughing fit, which people are saying she has kuru because she drinks baby's blood, and who knows? It may be true. But I don't know about the kuru part, but that may be true. But as far as her health issues, she's got something weird going on. She's had these bizarre seizures, bizarre fits, loss of nervous control, and this whole thing with her coughing. So she goes on there and she has one of her coughing fits. And she makes a joke out of it. I came on here so I could cough some more. I think you just heard the truth. I think that was the truth. I think that is one of the things that she is getting in front of, is this coughing thing. And she shrugged it off. It wasn't a big deal. He offered her a cough drop. She says, no, I have my own. But made a joke about it. And, think that happened on purpose? Well, Benny, you're just quite a conspiracy theorist. No, you get experience. You get experience, and you get discernment, and you kind of see how that creature rolls. I don't mean her. I just mean the whole cabal. Okay, so it's all mind control, things like that. Here we go. I'm a conservative. I've always hated Hillary. This interview changed my mind. I had no idea how cool she was. There you go. There's one of the fruits that they were going for, right here. See? She moved me to tears, one female listener said. If she'd only come on when she was running, she would have won. I wanted to tell her I'm sorry we believed the hype and we did not elect a presidential person. I wish we would have known this Hillary 3 years ago. I just finally saw the human side of Hillary. She's stellar. Listening to her now, I think she should run again. I mean, you see where this is going, right? Well, who will win? Whoever can win, right? That's what she says. Well, who can win? The one that seems fitting for the times, for all the variables and all the things. The one that will push the agenda, institute the agenda the fastest, the smoothest. So I don't know. And perhaps they don't even know. They just have their two options and they're looking for the best one. And so over a year's time, things, these people are not gods. They think they are. They are not gods. The Lord confounds the plans of the wicked, Bible say. So will Trump be in office again? I don't know. I kind of think so, but I don't know. There's a reason that she's coming up the back. I also have considered the fact that this presidency, which has just been a shit show in itself, by the way, makes it look like he's the victim. But all this tweeting and all this stuff and just ridiculous things he says and just narcissism or egotism, let's say, all these kind of things. This guy's a character. The character and actor Donald Trump, I always say. This guy's a character. He's an actor. And there's something called plowing the field. Was the country ready for a female president for another round of the Clintons? No, but they might be now. Because even, except for what they call never Trumpers, even the conservatives, a lot of them have come around to what's that guy, Napolitano? I hear him saying, it was in the news just the other day, saying he would vote if he was in the Senate, which he jokes he wouldn't be. He would vote to impeach Trump. How about that? I kind of like to Judge Napolitano whenever I listen to him, sometimes. I mean, the things he said that make sense. You never forget the context. Context is everything. He's working for one of the big players, Fox News. Watch the movie Outfoxed. They're not the righteous good guys. Don't ever think that. So, he's leading. He's leading a lot of conservatives. A lot of people don't think for themselves. They can't. They have to find their pundit that will they'll find someone they can resonate with, and they'll just go along that unthinkingly. Go along with that. Because who has time to sort it all out, even if they had the mental skills to do so? Even if they had the understanding of history, the understanding of our founding and the Constitution. And I don't claim that I do have it all, because I feel I was shortchanged going to the government schools. I was really turned off of history, frankly. And I really wish I would have been, or had in my family anyway, the cultivation of, okay, son, you need to read the Federalist Papers. Son, you need to understand, here's illustrations of what's going on in the world right now, like I'm doing here with the Drudge Report, around the world, to where these things are being under assault. They have been, and you need to learn that and understand what your rights are, and that the First Amendment, the amendments and all the constitutions are protections to preserve your rights. They are not giving you your rights and things like that. We just don't know. Anyway, The Dumbing Down of America, Charlotte Iserbyt. I would recommend that book. It's a website called The Dumbing Down of America. Okay, here we go. I don't smoke anymore. Willie Nelson gives up marijuana for health reasons. Well, I watched this little video. He's giving up smoking it. Doesn't mean he's giving it up. And hey, I believe every plant, every herb was given to man for its various purposes, for his good, for food, for medicine, It's a shame. It's a damn shame, and it's a satanic shame that men and women conspire together to prevent people from having access to things that grow in the earth that God made. They're censoring the Lord and his creation. They're saying this is a bad thing. It's bad. You know, there's so many things about hemp and marijuana that, you know, thankfully some inroads are being made. The hemp industry, I guess if I could start all over and hemp was legal, there's so many things you can make with it that are higher quality than other kinds of textiles and fibers and stuff like that. But it also has a lot of medicinal purposes and therapeutic purposes. Anyway, so, you know, musicians historically smoke pot and smoke weed. Well, he's saying he doesn't smoke anymore because he's got breathing issues and his health issues. Well, that's a good choice. I'm glad to see it. I would advise people, if they are using marijuana, to not smoke it. There's other ways to get the effects, the various effects. You've got psychoactive effects if somebody's going for that, relaxing effects, all kinds of therapeutic benefits. But, you know, smoking, especially on a regular basis, is not good for you. It's just not good for your body, for your he's done it for years and years, right? He says, I've abused my lungs quite a bit in the past, so breathing is a little more difficult these days, and I have to be careful. I've mistreated myself since I was this big, he said, motioning towards the ground. I started smoking cedar bark, and it went from that to cigarettes to whatever. That almost killed me. Well, he's 86. It's pretty good. He's still working and touring. Touring's apparently hard. I get it. Whenever I travel, as much as I like to, it sort of can, you know, there's a lot of challenges, a lot of things, a lot of stress to traveling. Anyway, I like Willie Nelson. I don't really listen to his music much, but I'll tell you what, I admire his fortitude and his individualism, and he's got some real gifts, real talents, and I hope he leads a lot of people to decide, you know, I don't have to smoke if I'm going to use marijuana either. You know, he doesn't smoke it. So if you do smoke, especially cigarettes, I've had my own health scare recently. I've had it before. Had a health scare recently, and you know, I'm going to turn it around. I'm taking steps every day right now to change it immediately, because it was quite alarming, and it's one of those things you don't see coming. You just don't see it coming. And one thing that you can be sure of, that you won't suddenly think, oh, I'm developing cancer. No, you'll wake up and find yourself, you've got a big problem that you can't reverse, that you are now subject to, whether it's surgery, chemical treatments, or, you know, I mean, there's lots of options. I'm not a proponent of either one of those, but nevertheless, when you're in a dire situation, you might be over a barrel. And the thing is, you can stop it now. You know, these things don't happen overnight. Thankfully, the Bible says we're fearfully and wonderfully made, meaning we are extremely resilient. We have incredible systems that can handle a lot of things. But there comes a point where you've just worn it down so much that it finally succumbs. You know, how do you break a rock? One drop of water at a time. You can break a rock. You can break a boulder. Just one drop of water at a time. Drip, drip, drip. Cigarette after 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 cigarette. Take a sleep after cigarette after cigarette after cigarette. You're destroying the cilia in your lungs that help remove particles in the air, all kinds of other things. You're weakening your immune system. You're raising your blood pressure. It's just horrible. Really, for what? So you feel calm for about 10 minutes? You know what? Go through the agony of getting rid of smoking. Go through the agony. In fact, it's not as bad as you think it's going to be. Go through the agony, quit smoking, and find other ways to relax. You will not miss it when you start tasting food like you've never had it before, when you don't stop smelling like an ashtray, when you stop spending $5 a pack every day or every other day or whatever it is. You have money for other things. You'll say, how did I how could I have been so foolish? How could I have been so stupid? You know? Well, forgive yourself. Make it a new start. Make a new day. Make a new day. And I'm talking to myself too about things. Just make a new start. Make a new day. And get up. Do it again. Don't go back. Don't look back. Keep on trucking. You know? Pray to God. He's a healer. But we have to present ourselves to him. You know, why would he heal us if we're going to continue to destroy ourselves, right? But when we say, I'm tired of destroying myself, heal me, Lord, he can turn it around. He can stop that damage. He can repair all that damage naturally and supernaturally. Now, I don't even believe, I'm just using that for communication purposes, I don't even believe in the word supernatural. It's all natural. It's all natural. Miracles are natural because he's a living God. He's real. It's real. It's real, right? It's not supernatural as this connotation of being this other area, this kind of rare appearance type of a strange thing. He's in all and through all. He holds all things together. He knows the very hairs on my head and your head. He knows our downsitting and our uprising. He knows the words in our mouth before we speak them. If you don't know the living God, then you're in darkness, and sin is separating you from God. Now, we don't stop sinning immediately. We don't stop sinning ever, really, while we're in this body. But the barrier between us and God is sin. And we don't know what we don't know. There's sins of omission, sins of commission. We have bondages, bondage to cigarettes, nicotine, caffeine, alcohol, habits like cursing and lying and just things like this. We have bondages. He can break the chains because he's a chain breaker. Okay? He can break the chains. He overcame death. What other chain is so strong as that of death? He rose from the dead. He could break the chains of addiction. But you yield yourself to him. Just do it. Just, oh, it's so hard. Well, yeah, it's going to be hard, maybe. But he'll see you through. And then when he's cleaned you up, then he can repair you, But it's his job to do all that. All you have to do is yield yourself, present yourself to him. Say, Lord, I need your help. I need your help. Help me quit this. Help me stop this. And don't stop saying that. You probably will fail. You probably will have a hard time. You may not see any changes. You may just have a thought, but if that thought stays in your mind, eventually it's going to manifest. You cannot keep thinking about quitting smoking every single day or every single time you light that cigarette and every time you drink the bottle or something like that. Say, I don't want to do this anymore. You cannot stay in that because you have a conflict and you will be miserable. And eventually something's got to give. And either you're going to say, screw it, this is who I am. I'm a cigarette smoker. I love my cigarettes and screw being healthy. Screw my body being a temple. Or I love being intoxicated all the time, so screw that. I'm just a drinker, whatever. Well, you can go that way. Then don't ever think about quitting again. Live it up, baby. Live it up. But I will tell you that if you even have the thought that you want to quit, you're eventually, hopefully, going to say, damn it, I'm going to do it. I'm tired of being on the fence here. And you just take steps, and you can do it. You can do this. And, one step leads to 2 steps, leads to 3 steps towards the door. Give me 3 steps a minute, baby. Give me 3 steps towards the door. And get out. Get out of that bondage. And he'll help you. He's calling us out of darkness. We have to listen to that voice and go that way. So, I almost forgot. So I got hung up on that. All right. So here we go. Here is YouTube Studio. Important. All creators are obligated to take action to comply with the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act and or other laws. Well, I've not read this. Review your channel and video sessions. Learn more. You're legally required to comply with the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act and or other laws. You're obligated to tell us if your live stream is made for kids. Use live control room. So we're going to look at that in a second. Kids. I've said it before. Kids are goats. Now, I don't make my videos for goats. I make them for children and adults, meaning human beings. I mean, I'm not putting this out there for little children. They wouldn't even know what I'm talking about or be interested in it. Nevertheless, it's for the children of God. So now I'm perplexed. How do I answer that? Yeah, it's made for children. What did the Bible say? Be like little children. Okay. Whether deciding out your channel video is made for kids, you should consider various factors. Subject matter of the video. Whether your children, I like that they use children, whether children are your intended or actual audience for the video. How do I know? I don't know who's watching this video. Whether the video includes child actors or models. Whether the video includes characters, celebrities, or toys that appeal to children. Who can sort this out? I don't know what appeals to children. If I did, I'd be a multi-millionaire and invent some little cuddly animal. You know, like Cabbage Patch Kids. I'd be a bazillionaire, right? How do I know? I'm not an expert at this. Whether the language of the video is intended for children to understand. I hope I'm a plain talker. I certainly wouldn't want to teach him 4-letter words, and occasionally Uncle Benny has uttered 4-letter words in this, so I would say in that case, it's really not for little children. Viewer discretion advised. Whether the video includes activities that appeal to children. I would say knowing the truth appeals to children. I would say not lying, not being lied to by adults appeals to children, by authorities appeals to children. Play acting, simple songs or games, or I think a lot of the music I play is appealing. I know a lot of the music I play as bumper music I heard when I was a child, and I liked it then. Whether the video includes songs, stories, or poems for children. Any other information you may have to help determine your video audience, like empirical evidence of the video's audience. Well, I don't have any of that. I have maybe 3 viewers. And 2 of those are probably me just watching the video again, just to see how I could do it better or how it came out, if the sound is working. How old is a kid? The age of a kid is defined as anyone under the age of 13. However, the age of a kid may be higher in other countries. Let's just look up the word kid. Okay, kids are goats. This just is a clanging gong to me when I hear this. It's like, it's so noisy a word, I cannot hear it without thinking of a goat. They have, just because Merriam-Webster has it as number 1, gives it a sense of like it's okay, you know, but it's a young goat. Now, why is that important? Because at the end of time, he will divide the sheep from the goats. There's something in the Israelites had a scapegoat, put the sins of the people on that goat and drove it into the wilderness. A goat is not a clean animal, let's say. Okay? Stop calling your children kids. If you cannot stop doing that, then if you acknowledge what I'm saying, don't dismiss it. Don't go, oh, that's not that important. Then stop watching my videos. Words are extremely important. Extremely. The power. The world was spoken into existence by a word. By the word. The Master's described in John, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. The Word. See here. What if my content is applicable to a wide audience? And I would say that's what mine is. I can't be bothered. I just can't read all this stuff, right? And you're probably not even listening to it anymore. I have a legal responsibility to comply with Children's Online Privacy Protection, whatever it was, and our other applicable laws, and designate your content accurately. If you fail to categorize your content correctly, so that's they're going to determine that, right? So if I say this is for a wide audience, but I use a bad word, they could come in and say, well, you know, you use profanity and we're banning your channel. I don't think that's going to happen to me. I'm not that important or that widely seen, but that's the implication here, is that if we look at this act, what does this mean? Well, Here's a whole 2 days of reading for us, right? To read this and understand, and then also to discern what are they really trying to do. I would argue, without even reading it, I'm suspecting this is about control and about censorship. So control meaning that if they don't like what you're saying, it can be argued that you are in violation of one of these rules somehow. Look at this. A court can hold operators to violate the rule for civil penalties up to 42 grand. Well, that'll break a lot of people. Break them right down. Run them out of the business. Run them out of content creating. You know? Listen, they went after people downloading music, and they made examples out of certain people. They make examples out of certain people, and ruin their lives. Run them out of the game. Run them out of speaking. Well, give me liberty or give me death, right? I hope that, you know, anyone who does come up against any of this stuff just goes to the mat with them and makes a big noise about it, because this is likely to be abusive. Is that cynical? Yeah, it's cynical. How did that happen? I wasn't born cynical. I've been around, you know. Let's see here. All right, that's enough about that. You can, you know, I'll look into it. It's the first I saw it. Comes up. And another thing I want to point out is that this YouTube, they came up with a new creator studio. And I watched an interview of YouTube interviewing one of the people who was designing it. And then I read all the comments. And the comments from people about the new design, and I haven't even been that, you know, experienced or doing this that long, relatively speaking. And I found it very convoluted, very unintuitive, very doesn't have a real good flow. A lot of unnecessary steps, difficult to find things what are important to do. It's just ridiculous. And I listened to the guy who was one of the key programmers, or maybe the project head, foreign guy, and he may know code, but he does not. It's like a guy who designs an architect who designs a house or a restaurant or something like that, and they design an engineer who designs something and they don't use the product. They don't use it. It looks good from top down on the paper, but it's not really practical. For example, I saw a restaurant one time designed by an architect friend of mine, and he recognized that the person who wanted the restaurant built only had a certain amount of budget. They could only use certain things, but they wanted it done. Well, he had designed it, and the tables are like, you know, right next to the restroom, that if you open the door, you're seeing right into the restroom. Now, when I'm eating dinner or lunch or breakfast, I don't really want to watch a public restroom, you know, in my line of sight. Let alone, who knows what kind of privacy, you know, things it's that, you know, when the door opens, what might you see in the right moment or wrong moment, let's say. So, you've experienced it. Like, who designed this house, you know? Who designed this drawer to open up and crash into the other drawer? It's like an idiot. Who designed that dishwasher thing to fall down, you know, to open? And, I mean, I'm struggling for some examples, but you know what I mean? That people that design houses, restaurants, buildings, products, and they clearly don't use them. It looks good on paper. So it's the same thing with this project head designing that they've hired to do YouTube. It's almost seems purposefully messed up. It's ridiculous. And why is that? Well, it discourages new content creators, doesn't it? I mean, YouTube is sort of a disaster for, you know, a lot of information's out there, a lot of bad information, but there are people out there who are purveying truth, who are helping people to discern the world a bit better. I'm hoping to do some of that here. And they're shutting it down, aren't they? Banning people, censoring people left and right. It's been a big thing. Demonetizing people. Now I'm nowhere. I'm not ever wanting to. And that's not. I don't care about that. And you have to have so many subscribers, this and that. That's never. It's not even in my situation. But the point is there are people who become making a living doing YouTube, you know, and God bless them. And some of them have got the right tools and software and all the equipment and can make some beautiful videos and to do their thing. And they pay for it by their subscribers and viewers, you know, and advertising. And if YouTube doesn't like what you're saying, they find a way to shut you down. So I believe this COPPA, Child's Online Privacy Protection Act, is another way for the powers that shouldn't be to exercise powers they shouldn't have. All right, well, make a great day. I don't even know how long this is. Oh, look, another hour and 15-minute video. How about that? I was only going for 15 minutes. Make a great day. I'm going to go out on my bumper music again.